another video for the live commentary of Deadliest Warrior, the episode of Viking versus Samurai. One of my favorite episodes, mostly because of I love samurais, I love Japanese culture, so much fun. I literally a couple days ago just decided because I just looked it up because I don't know what sprung it up. I always wanted to go to Japan, and I think the seed was planted when I first saw Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and how like Japan looked in that movie, and like it's on my bucket list. And literally a couple of days ago, I was like looking up like different hotels, affordable hotels, not no some rinky dink kind of stuff. I'm talking about like, well within like the like something like somewhere between like $200 to $300 worth, because I want to stay for at least a week, or at least bare minimum 4 days, so I can just absorb the culture for a while and just like, because the whole thing is like Japan is like looks so awesome. I really want to go. If well, not if, when I establish myself as for voice acting. I want to do voice acting for a lot of anime. That'd be like a cool way to like always just visit Japan whenever, and just go to like a good hotel room. Doesn't have to be the like a 5-star luxury or anything like that, but just still like good where I don't have to share a room with people kind of thing. I don't want to be in like a Airbnb or a hostel. You know what I mean? I want like a cool experience in the hotel as much as a cool experience in the city. But I'm getting off track here. We'll be viewing the Viking versus Samurai episode. If you have the time step to 0, just follow along with me and we'll just enjoy it together. And also, after I'm not playing any more of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla because this thing is taking way too long, more than I care for. I don't like stopping, or at least not finishing a game, but it's dragging, man. Like, I'm getting extremely bored with it. And the hype of it, I don't know if it's even there anymore. Because it looked cool going in. And Ubisoft got their issues, I swear, when it comes to certain games that they do. But the Viking, aspect was always piqued my interest. So it'll be a very interesting thing, knowing what I know now. I mean, after playing the a Viking in the game and looking at this again, and then also it's like playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then Ghost of Tsushima. Before that, I'm looking at this episode in like a certain different light, So we got the time step to 0. Watch along with me and let's enjoy it.
The Viking, battle-crazed berserker who terrorized youth. Samurai.
And all the stuff that I mentioned during my walkthroughs of Ghost of Tsushima and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, when it comes to certain things that they did, I got it from this episode because it's like, or at least the wiki of the Deadliest Warrior show, like the certain knowledge I have about those type of warriors, I got from this because it's so interesting, and they took liberties in those games when it comes to historical facts, but I think the Assassin's Creed Valhalla took a little bit more liberties than Ghost of Tsushima, because I think Ghost of Tsushima tried to stay more true to historical accuracy than Valhalla did.
We're gathering data for a virtual face-off between two of the greatest warriors ever known. A samurai, Japan's most disciplined and skilled skilled fighter versus a Viking.
Always thought like the samurai. Maybe it's I'm biased because I watched a lot of anime growing up, but just I always thought like the samurai is probably like the best ancient warrior
With their weapons and combat
in
equipment,
like history.
biomedical scientist and karate black belt Jeff Lin rigs the dummies to collect battle data.
What's cool about this matchup for me
Like
is I get to bring
the
all
best. They got the best like steel
Warrior
age
analyze
weapons,
the lethal potential of
best training,
final column here is cut in half.
computer whiz.
and it's like unlike most warriors who have to have like bred to be perfect all the time. Some of the best like samurai were like handicapped in some ways. Some were like extremely old. Some were extremely young. But it's just like like if you're trained properly, like
Direct descendant
you know, uh,
The only way to enter the samurai
if you're trained properly, you can be
born into
efficient.
the only way to leave was to die.
The samurai skills will be demonstrated by stuntman and four-time martial arts black belt Brett Chan. Brett showcased his sword skills in the feature film The Last Samurai.
Every move is going to be precise. Everything. There's no fail. Failure is not an option for the samurai.
The term samurai means to serve. The samurai served the daimyos, and they were the feudal lords in medieval Japan. It was the samurai who did the fighting, who protected the nobility. Going into battle and dying for his master, dying for loyalty, dying for honor, this was the best possible fate that he could embrace.
The samurai's fighting style was a fusion of the savage and the civilized.
Looking it up, I mean, you can easily look it up. You hear a lot about like samurais and this honor code, Bushido.
The samurai is surely the greatest.
But just like any individual, it's like I mean, everybody got their own certain codes and honor system. But just like anybody else, they can from time to time they do break it
The strength of the weapon
because not all samurai at the time was
is a professional
as honorable as their Bushido
the Viking long
will warn them to be.
Pat Nelson teaches Viking combat techniques. His lineage can be traced to Viking raiders from Denmark.
This harsh environment of freezing cold, howling winds, and icy seas forged these people into
Yeah, the type of environment the Vikings. Yeah, right. That's what I mentioned in my Valhalla walkthrough. It's like all the raids that Vikings did because their environment, their natural environment, didn't couldn't warrant any kind of farming, so they raided a lot. Obviously, they raided and pillaged just to get other people's resources to bring back to their homestead.
Their women and children as slaves burned the village, and they would be gone just as quickly as they came.
But the thing is, they have to normally attack, certain villages or areas that they know they can probably win more often than not. They don't. They didn't attack well fortified areas, despite the game. The Vikings normally attack areas that they know that they'll come out on top, or at least if they didn't have efficient army on their side of the playing field, they didn't bother with the raids.
Samurai's primary weapon is the katana. 30 inches.
Katana is awesome. I love the katana.
The katana represents perhaps the greatest weapon mankind has ever produced.
I always want like a katana, even if maybe like a replica or something like that, just to have, so I can put on a nightstand, or not a nightstand, but like if I had like a fireplace shelf or something like that,
The samurai's very soul.
just to have like something like that to have.
Lightning speed became its own martial art. Iaijutsu.
Yeah, the katana's supposed to contain like
For years,
the samurai's very soul,
possible movement. As he's withdrawing, he takes down
and it kind of reminds me of something like Bleach when it comes to their swords. and have like they got like essentially spirits in their swords.
Sets up three-rolled mats that represent limbs of attackers.
Three opponents, three Vikings. This here is the tummy. This is the equivalent to a human bone. So I'm going to attempt to show you a quick jaw cutting through three. High speed ready?
The quick draw.
3, 2, 1, go! There we go. That's the money. Are you guys happy with the speed? Hell yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick calculation here on how fast that was. So you had 3 kills within 296 milliseconds. And our rule of thumb is that it takes a quarter second to perceive that you need to get out of the way. So that's 3 Vikings in less than a third of a second.
See, like you learn the math of how, like, you know, it takes a quarter of a second for the human eye to, or at least the brain to acknowledge that you probably got to get out of the way of an incoming thing.
Off with a hand. Guilty of a more serious crime, they cut you straight in half. If the sword was shown to be capable of cutting straight through a man, then it would be called a one-body blade. Yet in history, we read about 2-body, 3-body, 4-body blades.
Instead of testing on Vikings, the team go for the next best thing.
You'd like to explain something to me?
This is a little bit more like the real thing here.
We teach our up-and-coming doctors how to suture, how to operate using pig tissue. So using the samurai sword on this pig will actually be a very accurate representation of what that sword can do to a human body. This is the real deal. Oh, Brett. This man, 2 pigs clean through. Oh, he went right through the bone.
2 sets of vertebrae. That's amazing.
2 is all I needed, right? That was Casey and Matt.
Exactly. We got our 2 Vikings, right
Vikings,
here.
done deal, right there. So that's a 2-body blade.
So the sword they have is a 2-body blade.
The katana can cut through a Viking.
And it's so sharp and so fine. It's like getting cut by these things. It's like I don't even know if you will probably feel it initially because it's so sharp and so fine. You might feel like a sharp thing, but the pain registry will probably take at least a second or two before your brain acknowledges the fact that you got cut almost open. And it's like, you ever accidentally get a paper cut? Like it's like a minor comparison, but it's like I remember getting paper cuts back in the day, or at least getting like accidentally cut by like a knife when cooking by accident or something like that. And the it's not as fine as like a katana, but it's so quick, and it takes like a minute for the pain senses to get into your head to like, or not a minute, but like at least a few seconds. It's for your brain to acknowledge that like you're in pain because it's so quick.
See, you guys spent so much time talking about the legendary power of the samurai katana, and it was just stopped in its tracks by the Viking chainmail. So besides a few neck chainmail rings, there's absolutely no damage here. You took a full strike from your most formidable weapon, and he's walking away from it.
Always was bothered by that. It's like, yeah, I mean the facts are the facts. I mean, like chainmail is designed to stop slashing weapons, and a katana is a slashing weapon. So it's just that because I'm biased, 'cause I love the weapon of the katana so much, and thinking like it's probably the most formidable of a weapon. And it's like, you know, I mean, you would think it would be so like, not invincible, but it's just like, you know, just to be so more effective than any, almost any other weapon. But yeah, like I can't believe like a chainmail can easily like stop. Maybe like not all the attacks from a katana, but like the first few strikes to easily be able to nullify any damage coming from a katana. But that's another thing I always found very interesting in this show is that like you get 2 vastly different weapons clashing amongst each other that they never clashed before. It's like you would think like you ever even conceived the idea of a katana versus like a great axe. It's like these two things would haven't been in the same space as each other, let alone in like a battle.
Gravity take it in an overhand chop on the shoulder, collarbone, the right
And
crown of the skull.
technically,
How far out?
because I was playing
Largest people on Earth.
this game a long time ago called For Honor, where it's another Ubisoft game, but like you got like this
To measure their
game based around like Vikings, samurai, and knights meet each other in like this constant battle and stuff like that. Was a cool concept, and that's what I think Ubisoft is good at, cool concepts. But technically, the Vikings, knights, and samurai more than likely probably would have met each other if more than often. Well, during the 11th century, they all existed technically together, but I'm not sure if they ever met. But they could have, because I think around the 11th century, the Vikings was eventually dying out, but they were still relatively there. So these three distinct warriors did exist together in the same century.
Be careful of that blade on behind you. Sir. This is obviously extremely devastating. You've literally chopped this body down to size. Nice. In my 10 years of emergency medicine experience, this type of injury happens when, like, a train runs over somebody.
What do you think, guys? I don't think he's gonna make it. This dummy's a little bigger than your average samurai, so I mean,
Yeah, he's a lot slower too. These
Oh.
samurais are known for speed.
bring it on, no problem.
You're gonna check this out, guys. Here comes the pain. It's amazing how you see the rib cage kind of absorb all that pressure, but unfortunately,
It can't absorb all of it.
yeah, it goes beyond that, and it does then.
I mean, Vikings are cool warriors, but I think my fascination with them was more so with their Norse mythology, with like Thor, Odin, and stuff like that. Was probably more interesting to me than the actual warrior themselves.
Unarmed children, a baby. But you have to understand the helmet not only covers the
But
head.
with the like samurai and the Japanese culture, I like their mythology along with the actual warrior themselves, because all of them are so cool.
All right, let's add some realism to this experiment. Now this is the Kabuto. He'll be lucky if he hits it square. Even if he does, it's nothing but angles. It's gonna deflect offward.
When I heard like the name of the helmet, the Kabuto, I immediately think of Naruto character Kabuto, one of the villains in the show, and it's like he obviously came up with the name Kabuto from the helmet.
Oh, looks like there's some chip damage there. Yeah, there's definitely a dent.
So exactly as I predicted, as soon as the axe came down, it found an angle, deflected off.
Alright, watch yourselves. I don't see anything substantial on the torso or the skull itself, but we'll need to look at the high-speed photos to see how much energy was transferred to the spine. There's definitely some transfer there, but from the angle of that blade, it starts to turn as soon as it makes contact with the helmet. Yeah, some whiplash, some minor head trauma, maybe a minor concussion, but all in all, I think the helmet did its job. This fight's coming down to whose armor is going to last longer. The Viking chainmail, I have to admit, was impressive.
Both warriors have battle-tested armor. So what's beneath the armor may decide the battle when they face each other.
Yeah, I think like the samurai's armor is like was probably like, at the time compared to anything that came before them, because you got like the Stone Age, Iron Age, a Steel Age.
Viking warriors also started young.
Uh,
Their training was less formal.
it is I think at the time of the samurai's age, their armor was were refined to a particular point where
Often set
until you get like actual body armor for like guns and stuff like that, those were like the superior
samurai trained
armor, because it was built to be like not only flexible but it does protect for a lot of incoming damage.
A Viking's education
I
is
think the
complete,
Vikings,
skilled to survive and to fulfill the will of the gods.
the Vikings chainmail armor was like the first metal armor. It was kind of like a look like a big T-shirt made of metal. But then you got like the medieval knights who had like armor plated armor, but then you got like samurai who kind of like, you know, armor that's more flexible than even their stuff. So you get to see this like evolution when like weapons change, the armor had to change to like be able to take on certain incoming damage.
After testing the great axe and the katana, our experts can't agree which weapon is superior.
Katana versus great axe. Katana all the way. Pop, pop, pop in less than a half a second.
I have to give the edge to the great axe. When a great axe hits you, whether you're wearing chainmail or even plate like the samurai is, you're gonna feel that hit, and it's gonna be a big hit.
Max takes the numbers and inputs the results into the simulation program. It's a close call. The Viking great axe gets the edge in short-range weapons. Coming up, samurai precision versus Viking brute force. Who will be the deadliest warrior? Samurai, Viking, two warriors from distant lands, with fighting styles worlds apart. They met in battle. Who would win?
The Vikings went into battle and they raped and they pillaged. The samurai, on the other hand, lived and died by a code of honor.
For Viking, honor had no place on the battlefield.
I mean, like, I think living during the age of the samurai.
Take your possessions and bring them back and
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm not Japanese. I don't know. I mean, prior to speak with like a Japanese historian, but like, I would like to think that the livelihood of your average Japanese person during that time was relatively okay, despite like maybe bandits or like certain
At a distance.
other armies invading certain areas. I mean, it's relatively peaceful time until like eventually like the Genghis Khan and his forces came into play years down the line.
it cuts him down.
So what do you think it's gonna do to the gel torso?
Well, I think it's gonna cut it up to ribbons.
Let's give it a go. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go!
Holy crap, man. You took the skull right off and a piece of his brain. One slice. So as he's falling down dead, you're continuing stabbing him and another slash across the face.
That part of his head just doesn't exist anymore.
That's insane. And that's after this kill streak. He's falling to the ground, slash to the face, poke to the heart.
It's the fastest weapon we've seen to date.
This is shearing bone the entire time.
You can't see it because the blade is so sharp and so fine, but if you feel that the rib cage is broken, he's internally bleeding right now.
This is the cleanest cut we've ever seen.
And the fastest.
So guys, a little bit of skull.
What's that?
You've got hair, flesh, bone, brain, all in one
Yeah,
slice.
I think that's like
I think
so.
the samurai gave us a pretty impressive display of
Is
speed.
is damaged, but the only thing like, I mean, the naginata is like a cool weapon, but
The heavy weapons and armor
I
are gonna be too much.
and it slices up the piece of skull when it's like in like a, it's like sliced bread or like if you cutting through like layered of cake or something like that, you get to see certain layers of it. You got brain, bone, flesh, all in like one slice. That's cool, but
Through his body, or is that just a shockwave?
I mean, is I don't know, like the damage by comparison to other weapons from this episode is like minimum by comparison in a way, at least in my opinion.
It's a lot of blunt force for a blade, which is pretty sharp.
Well, that's the thing. We're getting the depth of the cut and the
because it's pretty much like a big pole with like just like a blade at the very top with just only like a few inches on it, and it's like, you know, you get the reach, but uh, I'm not saying it's like a not efficient weapon, but it's just like by comparison to other weapons, eh, not something I would choose to bring into battle with me, unless it's, I mean, different strokes for different folks, but it's just like me personally, I don't think I would be comfortable with using like a naginata for anything.
From getting through the neck is that metal rod.
Absolutely. And even that's chipped off. Oh my, this is the first slice.
The first slice.
Yeah, right.
Right through it.
Base of the skull into the brain cavity. It's completely shattered.
You figure this is a clean cut as the naginata?
It went through a lot more than what we saw with the Naginata.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys.
Max,
My
look what
turn.
you've done.
Well, claim your prize and let's go look at the footage. It's through the back of his head. It just seems to spring back out. We're watching bits of brain flop out of the side of his head. If face tearing was an Olympic sport, you guys probably be bringing home the gold.
Very Viking-like. Longsword versus naginata. Longsword wins, in my opinion.
Got a lot more devastating results.
Yeah,
Sword gets the edge in mid-range weapons.
the long swords obviously,
Retaliate by taking
you know, is a sword with like a longer blade to it.
Viking and the samurai, opposite sides of the earth. Both courageous in combat, but in very different ways. Samurai entered battle with focused awareness.
The samurai always brought into battle his cunning intellect, his keen insight. They would use strategy and look for points of weakness to take down his adversary.
Vikings attacked with a barbaric zeal that made their foes tremble.
Why were the Vikings able to defeat so many different people across all of the Western world?
Vikings were armed to the teeth
Well,
and wielded their
I don't know about defeat so many people. They attacked. I mean, that's the one thing I kind of like took ire with. Well, not maybe not. You know, it doesn't really, you know, bug me too much. It's just like I disagree with, respectively. Even though he's the expert, it's just like honestly, like how many people did they actually fight other than maybe certain
Team Viking
other villages and possibly some, not only there's other Vikings that they fought obviously, but maybe a few knights here and there. But they got to be able to fight people who were inferior to what they had in combat to be able to like fight or win effectively.
Or discard the shield. He can't fight with it. And what about the samurai armor?
It's gonna penetrate.
Put it to the test and watch what it can do.
Okay?
Now, I gotta say, this part like very got me very engaged into the Viking weapons because they had this double spear throw, which is probably like the most effective
This one seems to have gone the deep.
because, you know, you'll see in a minute. But I mean, of course, they threw spears.
That is textbook.
I didn't use it in the Valhalla game, but
Equivalent to armor, though?
it's like this like certain like abilities that you get to gain and apply where you can pick up a weapon and throw it. One of them being like an actual spear that you find on the ground, and you just get to chuck it.
See if he slows down any.
Fantastic.
Who said it couldn't be done?
Easy. 22 miles an hour again.
Come on like that. See, 2 spears, 2 hits.
Yeah,
Spears, 2 hits, 2 kills.
yeah. You won't be able to like, your brain won't be able to register how to like dodge two things coming at you at the same time,
Effectiveness of the double spear throw.
which increases the effectiveness of a double spear.
Much damage to a target log. What is it going to do to a samurai's body?
But the samurai team is not intimidated. Long before the katana became the soul of the samurai, the Japanese warrior perfected a lethal sting of the yumi. Taller than the archer who aimed military power. The samurai were master archers, and in battle, targeted their enemy's eye for a fatal strike.
I love using the bow and arrow in Ghost of Tsushima,
Precise, more laser-guided, lethal action.
and I try to be. I tried in the game to be as effective as this guy was in this test.
Well, here we call
I don't think I've got any kind of like eye shots, but I definitely got my fair share of headshots in the game. And I tried calling out my shots too, just like this guy does.
left pectoral. Right Viking, shield arm. Arrow to the throat. In the throat.
Guys, what I'm seeing with those shots is chainmail, helmet. I've seen what the katana did against the chainmail. I was not impressed. I want to see you get in there.
Well, how about an arrow straight to the eye of the Viking?
I'd like to see it. Do it.
To give Team Samurai a smaller target, Jeff sets up a gel head wearing a Viking helmet.
Right, let's rock.
And you do have to take your breaths, when you're firing a bow and arrow, or even like a sniper shot. You gotta take a certain amount of breaths.
No way. Holy. I had no doubt.
Game over, Viking.
That impressed the heck out of me.
Our team removes the Viking helmet so Dr. Dorian can assess the damage underneath.
We're seeing unbelievable accuracy, and unfortunately, you're feeling this. Because this is going to go in, you're going to feel the pain until you hemorrhage to the point where you're no more.
That's the most up way to die possible. How long does that take?
It's pretty quick, but you'll probably remember the arrow going through your eye. The world's toughest man would not be able to take an arrow in his head. This is eyeball kebab at its best.
Now, I realize for the Viking, brain isn't a vital organ, but he can't fight without his eyes.
Absolutely. This is game over. Let's go look at the high speed.
Yeah, obviously, like I've seen like people with bow and arrows before, but the fact that Samurai is so precise with it, not only just to call out the shots, but actually say like, I'm going to nail you in your eye, even with a helmet on, and they nail it like dead center.
Ripping and tearing and digging its way further into the brain.
From 75 feet, your accuracy isn't as good as this, but in close, 20 feet, the Viking doesn't stand a chance. You just punched, double punched, a one-way ticket to Valhalla.
A rushing Viking with a Yumi in your hand at 20 feet, I think, is an ominous situation. If you miss, you're in deep trouble in my mind.
Yumi versus double spear. Our experts are divided.
Between the double spear and the Yumi, it's double spear hands down.
I have to disagree with that completely. The last skill demonstration with the Yumi, it blew me away.
We saw it went through the palm target.
No, we saw the strong arm went through the palm target.
One's the
other thing.
target
Okay,
spear, the other one's the distractor.
it doesn't matter. But I'm running up to you like this in order to go. Wah! What do you see?
Like I
See
said,
all
all
of
or
this
nothing. I'm giving a slight edge to the Viking.
in a battle that's being decided by skills of the fighters. I think I have to give the edge to the samurai.
Samurai Yumi takes the
Yeah, I mean, as effective as the spear, one spear alone,
Viking shields meet samurai.
you know, is one thing, but then you got a double spear throw, and it's like, I do agree that it'd be like a very difficult thing to be able to avoid. You would probably have to actually have some kind of like a barrier or like a shield in order to like just block it, because you can't dodge two things coming at you at once, because you either go left or right. But if you, both your left and right are covered and coming at you, it's difficult. But you got like a warrior who can precisely nail you with an arrow efficiently in areas that you're not armored, especially, is a little bit more intimidating.
Made out of wood and iron, the battle shield repelled oncoming attacks and allowed Norsemen to charge in for closer kills.
Ready? Let's strap up. Let's go.
Every successful army used shields because they worked. The shield is the best item you can carry for defense.
Ready? Go get him.
The shield was designed to deflect any incoming strike and allow
allow me to follow it up with those powerful overhand strikes. It became high block.
Yeah, if you ever watched Captain America movies, never discount the shield. Somewhere in time in history, they didn't bother with using shields. We don't use shields. Well, technically we use shields, but not like on an arm or anything like that. But like we have like certain shields on like certain motorcades and stuff like that. But uh, the shield should not be like discounted at all because like you can it's not universal of a weapon, but it does its job. It does what it's meant to do is defend, and you can use it to attack if you're good, very good at it. I'm not gonna say you're like Captain America or anything like that, but it's just like if you're trained well, you can use a shield in all kinds of ways.
And with the mass of your body behind it, possibly breaking ribs, if we lacerate a lung, you've definitely disrupted the samurai's game plan. And that's not even the primary weapon.
So, what kind of damage can I put in? Am I going to get to internal bleeding?
It's
I
possible.
have a question for you guys. Like, do you think we should bring back the shield?
Gonna incapacitate the samurai. Is it a killing blow?
I mean, it won't be effective against like, you know, a gunfire. But if you can make a shield out of like a combination of like a bulletproof vest and like a bulletproof glass, like some weird combination of the two, and like metal and something like that. If you can like combine bulletproof vest and a metal shield and bulletproof glass in a way to make a shield that can be able to deflect bullets coming at you, I think you can easily bring back the shield. This is the first time I've ever seen like a weapon like this, like a Kanabo club. I didn't know this thing even was a thing, but apparently it's like super heavy, like a big baseball bat with metal studs around it. And and apparently this is like like because like the one expert said, like this weapon was in Japanese culture was known to be used by their demons, while Americanized demons were more so like pitchforks, but they have like a Kanabo club that breaks any and everything that it touches.
2, 1, go! Oh, dude. You believe it now?
I don't want to make a soup out of that, but yeah, I'm a believer. If this happened to a human being, the leg would be gone, it'd be smashed. I think that's a bit of an understatement. If this was going to do it.
I imagine if there was 3 or 4 femurs, you would have the same result.
This was actually going a little bit slower than the Great Axe, but it's double the mass, which gives it twice the momentum. And that's really what we're seeing here, is the momentum transfer into that bone.
Cavemen killed animals with big clubs too.
And it does slow you down a bit using a Kanabo.
No. That's a bit different, my friend.
The speed and precision of your guys' earlier weapons was your only chance. Once you pick up a heavy weapon like this, you've stepped into our court. I say, it won't even crack this shield.
Bring it on.
Okay, boys. It's a Viking shield for you to smash with a Kanabo. A 2,000-pound load cell in behind there.
It's like a big Tonka toy.
That's the biggest piece of wood your samurai has ever seen. Well, this is what we're going to find out. You're either going to smash his shield to bits, and if it doesn't happen, we're going to record the force to see if you break his arm behind it. Okay.
I don't know if that
Ready, man?
joke was on purpose or by accident.
Doesn't look like as much, though. Look at that.
I think once again the Thunder God is laughing at you, my friend. The best you could do is chip the edge.
Chip the edge. The whole shield's busted off.
Still use this in battle. Shield. This shield will go through 10 more battles. Well, based on these numbers, we got 475 pounds coming down on that shield. Is it a killing blow? No. But certainly with numbers like this, I'm seeing at least one bone broken in the arm.
Samurai Kanabo gets the edge in
I mean, like
Viking and
their
samurai teams
their mindset, like, yeah, you didn't
but our experts that can
and the shield's still standing, but the point is, can it can break the shield, and technically it did break the shield, even though it might just be part of it was chipped off. You still got through the shield in a way, and all that force behind it, 400 pounds,
cutting edge computer programs
shield or not, like he said, you're gonna get at least one bone broken in the arm because you're holding it up, protecting you.
samurai versus Viking. The ultimate battle. Our experts have completed their series of tests. Now, we'll find out once and for all who is the deadliest warrior, Viking or samurai. They've tested 4 Viking weapons: great axe, long sword, the spear, and the shield. They also tested 4
I'm curious to know what you guys favorite weapon you've seen from this episode. I still maintain like I love the Yumi too, but the katana is by far my favorite ancient weapon of all time. Uh, it's as far as like in close kind of like fighting, that's like an awesome weapon. And it's like, and it was forged
at mid-range. They
like
tested
I want to go to, like, when I go to Japan, I want to go to one of those forgers and watch them make a katana firsthand, just to see it in action with my own eyes. But like I have so much respect for a katana as far as like an in close weapon. It's about as much as I have so much respect for a bow and arrow. But you can get a bow and arrow almost anywhere. But katana, I mean, you can order one online, but I want to see one in creation
our experts have two
firsthand.
choices in special weapons.
That kind of thing is like,
Samurai
I want that
sword
imprinted in my brain for the rest of my life. Just that, just to be in that environment and just watch it in action firsthand.
edge samurai.
In a battle that's being decided by armor and the skills of the fighters, I think I have to give the edge to the samurai. In the beginning, I was all samurai. But after these last few days of testing, I'm sitting at dead even to Viking versus samurai.
It's a battle of opposites. Speed versus strength. Brains versus brawn. The computer will take all the test results and decide who is the deadliest warrior.
Numbers are in. Let's go ahead.
Okay, we're about to see the reenactment. Yeah, there's no way he's going to dodge both of those. You'll probably if I had a choice, I would take a hit from at least one of them, but make sure I get hit in a spot where I know I'm protected at the very least. Because no way I can avoid a hit at all. That's not going to be possible from a double spear throw. It's kind of like rolling with a punch, in a way. Because you're going to get hit, but you might as well hit in a way that's less effective.
1,000 battles, the samurai won 522. The Vikings weren't far behind.
I was surprised how close it was between the two. Like the Vikings were effective warriors of their time for a reason, but it's just
Superior skills, superior weaponry.
yeah, like the samurai still had technologically were superior to a Viking, just slightly superior, because they were Iron Age and they're Steel Age. It's like vastly different.
There is no shame
And then the Vikings were just more all brute force, where while the samurai was, you know, as a culture in Japanese culture, they were martial artists too, which helped with their skill with other weapons. It's kind of like Bruce Lee with like his. If you ever seen a Bruce Lee movie and him using nunchucks, his martial arts skills make using those things, because it's very difficult to use nunchucks, but make him using those things more effectively because he is such a skilled martial artist. Same thing with like using like certain samurai weapons. It's like you have to be taught in a precise way, with like certain disciplines and everything like that, to make sure you're using these things more effectively than you would without the training. It's just like with almost any piece, even like with a Viking weapon, they still were taught in a way, but it's not like so refined like Japanese samurais would be. But I'm happy with the result. I was hoping that the samurai would win because I love the samurai. Like I said, I love samurai so much and the Japanese culture. But I was surprised when I first saw this episode how close the results were, so far as like just by 100 points difference in a way. As season 3 opens in, they managed to refine like the point system to like percentage, just to really gauge how close of a fight it would be between two warriors. But yeah, that was the Viking versus Samurai. That was definitely uh, uh, an awesome episode. I love that one. Next episode will be next month, but the next two episodes, I forgot which one came after, but the next one will be the Spartan versus a ninja. And just in case I don't bring it up then, I'm going to bring it up now while I'm thinking about it. That is technically the very first episode of Deadliest Warrior. It was just aired out of sequence for some reason. I don't know why. Because once you see the episode along with me, you get to see certain stuff going on during the episode where it's like so early phase of the show that you can tell that they haven't like got down to like the way they're airing the shows. Like you'll see when it comes up, it's like certain stuff that they're setting up and everything like that. It's not as refined as these two episodes that you've seen so far with me is, because like they're all got everything set up, everything's like going in like a particular emotion and everything like that. Like it's like when they're airing that particular episode, you can see like they're still in like the stages of like set up in a certain way just to get this episode running. But we'll get to that when you get to that. But I just thought I'd mention that now because I might not remember. But I love this episode. It's one of my favorites. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I will definitely see you next time for the next live commentary of Deadliest Warrior, the Spartan versus Ninja. I definitely got some things to say about that. But we'll get to that. So thank you all for joining me. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.